We're here to talk to Hannes Koch of Random International about past, present and future projects.
Right after Rainroom came down in New York 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we started a fairly introspective period where we were invited to go to Harvard several times to do a residency program there, artist residency, which was very self-directed, very autonomous in what sort of content and research we would be conducting, and we're very amateurishly enthusiast researchers. We brought a lot of interest for movement and motion into this residency and came out with an idea for a work which I think previously we wouldn't have been able to realize, and it's fascinating now to see over the last 2 years that together with the scientists in Harvard we've really developed the vocabulary to do this, and it literally came from a piece of paper rather than animation, which basic research from Biomotion Lab in Queen's University in Canada, which is all surrounding our human ability to recognize movement as being human, as being alive, rather than mechanical or of another nature. And the incredible small time it takes for us to make that decision, to make that call, this is a person or this is an animal. And we've brought a trigger for that into at least a study now, a study for 15 points, where we identified the most minimal amount of information that the human brain needs to make that call, 15 light points which are arranged very precisely alongside the human body and then kinetically animated in 3D. And our big question over the 2 years of this residency was whether that would actually work. Would we be able to do that, to recognize that not only from the front in a two-dimensional manner, but also from several different perspectives and in a real 3D. And yes, last night we found out it does work, which was a huge relief and enormous excitement, because there's a lot of further questions now developing. You can express enormous amounts of, surprising amounts of information with minimal manipulation of these light points, of these points in space. And this is stuff we're now starting to work on, hopefully preparing the next 2 years of residency time in Harvard. Yeah, that's more like it. Oh, this is awesome. One of the questions was whether it would work in 3 dimensions. So could you look from here and still see it as human movement? And yes, you can. You can even go to the back and you see the guy walking from the back. You can see you make up the speed at which you make up the rest of the features of the body. It's just unbelievable. The legs, the chest, elbows. I think this is a nice transition for filming. I love how he looks to the side. And you can see it's just this minimal gesture, and it's the guy goes into a crate now. It's being shipped to Boston, and in a week's time we're going to open the show titled 150 Milliseconds. So that's the maximum time it takes anybody on this planet to recognize movement as human or distinguish that movement as human, and it's a fascinatingly small amount of time. And this is all a sort of preamble or preparation for a much, much larger sculpture and even more complex sculpture on human size, which we're launching with Pace Gallery in Menlo Park in autumn, which will add different levels of complexity and different levels of expression to this endeavor, and we can't wait to see that. Hopefully it's going to be similarly successful in the way that it does what we intended it to do. But we don't know that yet. So yeah, it's an exciting time for us.
I mean, it's incredibly complex. Are there different factors that affect people's recognition of these points as movement of human beings? So is the speed at which the points are moving affected at all?
Yeah, yes, a lot. I think it's I mean, again, the guy who originated the whole biomotion lab research group material, he's going to come to Harvard next week and talk to us about it, because there's lots of questions like that we still have unanswered. But to our knowledge, it's all about the precision. If you manipulate a point, or you move a point into a slightly different point in space, it just crumbles. It doesn't work. You can scramble the information, so you can add noise to it, lots of other light points which do something mechanical, and you will still pick out the human body there. But I think what we understand is you need the precision of movement. So you can isolate that. You can have one arm moving, and you still see this is natural versus, I don't know, turning leaves or something. So it's precision. It's precision of position in space, in the three-dimensional space, and that's what made it so difficult for us to come to this result, because you can't jitter, you can't have any kind of, it has to be like a Swiss clockwork, basically, every component in there.
There's 20 of you working here in your studio, so do you all have specific sort of areas of expertise and work on specific things?
Yeah. No, it would be horrible if we all did the same thing. Yes, we do. We have anything from art historians to operational management to incredibly gifted engineers and electronics engineers and software programmers and fabricators and so on and so forth. So it's a very collaborative involvement, I think, of the whole of Random.
And is everyone as equal as everyone else, or is it do you and Florian kind of run the whole thing?
Flo and I have the sort of artistic direction, or share that in the studio. But of course, we try to create as much freedom for everybody to express themselves in their field of expertise. But having been here longest, we have the privilege of making final calls. Also, that is, with surrounding yourself with people who are all of them smarter than yourself, also gets you out of control. So there's lots of situations now where we say, like, we would like it to be like that, but no, we can't. And there is a real collective power in this group of people, I think, which makes it really exciting and surprising for us also to work on these projects.
And has the collective grown significantly? I mean, you started off with just the two of you, so did it have a point at which it took off? Like, did Rain Room really affect how you were able to work?
Yes, it did. So I think we've grown organically. It's not that we were three people. We used to have a third partner, and then Rain Room came and suddenly we were 20. We have grown organically. I think that the quality of research that we are privileged enough to conduct now after projects like Rain Room has definitely developed, and that also brings in more refined skills. And we can, go into more depth with certain subject matters and themes and projects, and also the quality of project has changed. We're working on more permanent, more public pieces, and that is something that definitely, where Rain Room really was a sort of milestone, I think, in the development.
And you've mentioned research. You also are running symposia discussing some of the key ideas in your work.
Yeah, and helping us to formulate internally and together what it actually is that we're doing. We're very, I think, as I said, amateur scientists. Not all of us. We've got a couple of very smart PhDs who are real scientists in the studio. But I think it collectively it helps us to formulate ideas, to come up with new ideas. We shamelessly use science as inspirational ground, very rich inspirational ground, and to evolve the thinking and the working of the studio. And it's enormously interesting what we can bring in from different fields here and put together. It's a very rewarding process for us, for ourselves, and we're now slowly making it more public, trying to raise debates which have proven to be relevant, at least internally, and then see and try out whether it's relevant to the outside world, and trying to get new influences from there then too. Looking back, I think we've experimented a lot with content, and I can't say that was our strong suit until the viewer became part of the content, part of the completion of the artwork, and that is again, it's the self-portrait, or the human face, our ability to recognize and relate to that is something really powerful. And you could put Space Shuttle on with a pixel roller, and people would just go, what's that? And you put a really, really low resolution scruffy image of Woody Allen, and people after 2 strokes, well, that's Woody Allen. And the way they point it out is very different. There's the satisfaction, as if you were permanently scanning for something you recognize and relate to, and then when you find that, you just, hey, whereas it's Space Shuttle, maybe it doesn't do anything for us, seemingly. And that's like, all these kind of things are quite interesting to observe, for us, at least.